Good afternoon. I am going to show you how to create a title block in AutoCAD. Title block is basically the border and the data information that we want to assign to our drawing. So when people are looking at our drawing after we print it, they'll know where it came from and who made that. So let's start with, now we're going to do a very simple title block. We're not going to, they can get pretty complicated, not just in all the information that is included on one, but also in the way that you do it in AutoCAD. There's many ways of doing it. There are certain ways that you can do it where you can save that block and be able to use it across all of your drawings. But this one's not going to show you that. It's going to basically show you how to create a block in the drawing that you're currently working on. So we want to make an 8.5 by 11 title block. And let's see, I think, see, we're in 1/4 inch scale, but I think this will all work still. All right, so let's start off, go to the Home tab, and we are going to create a rectangle. Specify first corner, and then I'm going to stretch it out, and I'm going to type in the size, the measurements. It's going to be 8.5 by 11 horizontal like, so it's going to be 11 in the X axes. We're going to tab over, oh, that didn't work. Why did not that work? Okay, 11 inches, tab. There's always something. Okay, specify first corner, stretch it out, 11 inches, tab to the Y axis, 8.5 inches, enter. Now, of course, because all of this is drawn actual size, that looks very small, but that's okay. We're going to zoom into it. And like I said before, this is 8.5 by 11. This is 8.5 by 11 rectangle, but we know that if we're printing this on standard copy paper, which is 8.5 by 11, that it's not going to print those borders. And if you're not at the Career Center, if you're at the Clean High School or any of the other high schools, your only option really is going to be to print on 8.5 by 11. Now, if you're at the Career Center, we can do any size you want. Typically, that will be assigned by your teacher. But here, I am going to first thing I want to do is offset this to make my border. The border is going to be 1/4 inch offset from the edge of the paper. This is the paper. I'm going to offset that. I'm going to click on the offset button right there, come into my page, and type 0.25 inches, and then enter. And then offset that, clicking on the line and then dragging it inwards to offset it. Now, escape out of that tool, I can select the outside box that is the paper and delete it. Now this becomes the border. I'm going to select that border. I'm going to do what we call exploding that border because I want to use all of these lines individually and not as one total unit. So I now have it selected. I'm going to go to the Modify panel and click on this button right here, and it says Explode. Now all of these lines are separate entities. Now I want to create the data area, and I'm going to create the data area over here on the right hand side. And I'm going to click on Offset, and I'm going to make the data area 1 inch wide. So offset that line 1 inch. Now I'm going to have other lines of text in here. It's going to be simple though. It's not going to be a whole lot. So I'm going to do another offset of this line. Offset. I'm going to offset these 1/4 inch, so 0.25 inches. I'm going to offset it 3 individual times. Okay. Now I'm going to do one more offset, and that's going to be this line down here. I'm going to offset that one 3 inches because I want an area of 3 inches in here for my text. You'll see what I'm talking about as I do it. Okay, so now it's still set at 1/4 inch offset. So I'm going to change that to read 3 inches. And there is my offset. Now I'm going to clean things up a bit. I'm going to type the word trim right inside the dynamic input. See how it just writes it right there on the screen. Select trim, and looking at my dynamic input, I'm going to, it says select objects or push enter to select all. So I push enter to select all. Okay, now I've got a data block going on. All right. Next, I am going to rotate this thing around, and this is going to be a slow rotation. Well, I don't really have to rotate it. I guess I already did. But because I've got all this other stuff on there, it kind of operates a little bit slowly, and my computer is not quite keeping up with the technology. You'd think it would, but okay. So now I'm going to put some data information down here, and what I'm basically going to do is put the heading information, and I'm going to do that with the text tool. First thing I want to do is create some text for it. So I'm going to click on annotate. I'm going to click on the letter A. Okay, and I'm going to create a new text for this because it's going to be much smaller than what appears. Maybe. Let's see, that says 3/16. Let's try what is already set here. It's already set for 3/16. Yours may be, or it may not be. If it is not, yours is probably set on standard. Change it to annotative. Click on the set current button. Down here, type 3/16 of an inch and close. Now I'm going to go up to the letter A, and that is way too big, and it's probably because we are on 1/4 inch scale. We have the drawing set at 1/4 inch scale. Let's change that for just a moment. Put it on 1:1. So everything we do hereafter will be affected by that change. So click on the A to get some text going on, and now the text looks a little better. Okay, zoom in, and just find a reference point to click, and then draw it out or drag it out. And I'm going to type the word name in here, and with colons on the end. I'm going to click outside of that text block. Now I'm going to rotate it. I'm going to click on the rotate button, select the object, push enter, and then select a point to make a base point, and then rotate it, and then click again. Now I'm going to move it to where I want it. I want it to be right in there somewhere. Now what I can do is just copy what I've got and make more text blocks. Copy. Dynamic input says specify a base point. I'm going to specify this corner as the base point for this move. I'm going to click right there on that corner, so every time what I do is I just click on the next corner in the next data area or text block, and then they're all lined up just perfectly. Now double click to edit what these blocks say. So I'll double click. This one is going to say job. That is the job name, or in our case, the assignment name. Okay, this one is going to say date, not date with a capital A. And this one is going to say scale. Okay, now you'll find different information on different drawings. It's not written in stone that you have to have name, job, date, and scale. There's all kinds of things that would be put in one of these blocks. But from here, you would actually type your name in, or after you print it, you will use a pencil or a pen, and of course using your architectural lettering techniques, and write your name, job, date, and scale by hand. All right, now that I've got this title block, I want to actually make a block out of it so I can use it in my layout. So to do that, I'm going to go to the Insert tab right up here, and I am going to click on Create Block. I am going to call this KCC 8 by 11. I'm just going to round that up to 11 or down to 11 instead of doing 11. Right now it's 8.5. Never mind. 8.5 or 8 by 11 title block. All right, these two boxes should be checked for to select the base point and the object on screen. And click OK. All right, now if I look at my dynamic input that is on the screen to the bottom right of my cursor, it says to specify an insertion base point. I'm going to choose this bottom right corner, which actually is going to end up being the top right corner. As you see, my rotation in my screen is not standard, but don't worry about that. I don't want to confuse you. So I clicked on that corner to make that my base point. Now it says in the dynamic input to select object. So I'm going to go up to the top right of this shape, this geometry. I'm going to left click on my mouse button and I'm going to drag it all the way across the geometry and click again. And then I'm going to select enter. Now this is all one block. If I go up here to the insert for inserting blocks, I can scroll through here and see that one of these will be that title block. There's a couple in here because this is not the first time I've made this video. Okay, so now I've got a title block and I want to use it. So I'm going to go to this layout tab right here, click on layout, and by default you should have an 8.5 by 11 page already loaded in, and you also see it has a border around it. Now in order to place this title block, it's very important that you click outside of this green border that is currently on the page. Double click outside that green border. That green border is called a viewport. Okay, if I or actually I'm outside of that viewport currently, so I'm good. I'm golden. But go ahead and just double click in case yours by default is already inside of that viewport. You'll double click outside anywhere over here or over here, just somewhere outside of that green border to make sure that you're not in viewport. Now I'm going to do the insert, and of course you see my screen is acting up. There we go. I'm going to go to insert, click on that, and find that title block that I just created. I'm going to select it, and because this is the border, it should fit right on there. Yeah, it does. Okay, so it fits right on that green border that's already there. Now that is a fictional border. It doesn't actually exist, but now once we put this in there, it will exist in the printed world. And I've also got my scale turned on. If yours is turned on, all you have to do is move your mouse until you get it about where it's supposed to be, and then click again to place it. And I don't like that one. I messed it up. So I'm going to click on scale again to get it right. And might have to zoom in a little closer. Let's see. There we go. I think I'm still not quite on the border, but anyway, that will do. So try to get that. I'm going to try it one more time to match up with the lines that are already there. Sometimes you have to zoom in, get a little closer, and hopefully your scale may not be turned on. If it's not, it should place right in there with no problem. You may not have to do all of that I just did. All right, so now I've got the title block around my drawing. So what do I do with my drawing? Well, my drawings are meant, especially if you're using 8.5 by 11, you have to zoom into each individual piece, and each one of these will go on a different layout. As you see down at the bottom left, where I have my model tab, okay, and then I have my layout tab, which is my layout space, and then I've got a layout 2. And of course, you see this plus mark right here. I can just click on that and keep creating new tabs all day long, new layout tabs, as long as I want. Okay, so now what am I going to do now is go back to layout 1, where I just placed that title block. I'm going to double click inside the green border, and that activates this title block, this viewport. And now if I zoom in and out, I'm not zooming in and out on the screen itself, I'm zooming in and out on the drawing. And I want to place just one of these drawings in the center. And here's the easiest way to do that, is to go to the zoom tool, set it for, click on the little drop down menu, zoom window, set it for zoom window. Draw yourself a little window around everything you want to print, and it will fit it into the page just perfectly. You might have to adjust it a little bit. Okay, so now we have our title block with our drawing in it. We're good to go. We're golden. We could print this now. And of course, depending on how you have your printer set, typically mine is set for black and white. So all this will print. Every line in here will print as black, not in all the different colors. So that is a title block. I wish you luck on that. I know that was probably very confusing. If you have any questions, just drop me a line. Email me. You know my email address if you're in the district, and if you're not in the district, just leave a message below the video and I will get back to you.